All right, everybody, welcome to the webinar. I'll give it another maybe 20 or 30 seconds or so to get everybody in here, but thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us with Hobo Data Loggers with our webinar today. The title is How to Maximize Yield with Optimal Deployment of Climate, Soil, Water Monitoring Solutions. Thank you so much for being with us. Just a quick overview of how everything is going to go. The webinar altogether is going to run about 45 minutes. And right at the end, hopefully I'll talk for maybe around 35 to 40, and then we'll save some time for Q&A at the end. If you do have some questions that you would like to ask us, go ahead and put those in the questions field that you have there. We do have some staff on board that will be answering some of the questions, and then I can probably answer some of those at the end if we have time. Just a little housekeeping, the webinar is being recorded, so you will have a link of the recording sent to you afterwards. I'll go ahead and turn off my camera here to then be able to focus on what we're doing here. All right, so next slide here. So I'm your presenter today. It's an honor to be with you. My name is Brett Stebbins, and I am the sales lead in our Water Resource Management division at Hobo Data Loggers. I've been working for over 20 years in this space on the operations side and as well on the remote monitoring space. So it's been good. I've been on the operations side where I've been actually able to use and deploy hundreds of these sites. And my focus these days with Hobo Data Loggers is to continue to focus on that ag and water resource management applications. I really desire to be a resource for the industry and for our clients as well. So that's what I strive to do these days. We have our agenda. So this is what we're going to get into today in order. So I'll do just a real quick overview of Hobo Data Loggers, just a quick introduction of who we are, what we're about, and then I'll get into our RX real-time monitoring data loggers. Our RX is kind of what we consider our real-time cellular-based data logger systems. So kind of the two options that we have, I'll review that. And then I'll go over some of our wired sensors that we have, because we have a couple of different options for sensors. So we'll go over the wired ones. We'll go over our HoboNet, which is our wireless sensor overview. And then we'll kind of get into some of the fun stuff with wireless sensor deployment and kind of best practices on getting everything out and going out in the field. So who are we and what we do? We are Hobo Data Loggers, and we have our manufacturing facility here in the US in Bourne, Massachusetts, which is in the Cape. And it's a great place to be able to create our data loggers, because we focus on creating accurate and reliable data loggers for monitoring. We want you to be able to have the data loggers in your hand and be able to rely on them and deploy them out in the field and get just all the data that you need. So Hobo Data Loggers last year became a part of Lycor Environmental, and Lycor Environmental is another worldwide leader in the monitoring space, mainly on the environmental side. Hobo, we are very strong in lots of different applications, and the two companies joined together really creates a wealth of knowledge, and we've been doing this for over 50 years connected together. And just like Lycor, Hobo Data Loggers, we are a world leader. So we have distribution partners all over the US and all over the world in different countries to be able to get these wonderful data loggers into the hands of all the users who you need it for, multiple different companies and the research space, and we're able to get them out to you wherever you are. We were founded in 1981, so Hobo Data Loggers has been around as long as I've been alive, which is fantastic. And if you've been around for that long, you're doing something right. And I think that comes along with what we do with being ISO certified and just the way we manufacture the data loggers and get the information into people's hands. It's a great company to be with, and I'm honored to be a part of this team. So now we'll get right into it. We'll get into our RX monitoring solutions. But like I said at the beginning, these are our real-time solutions. In other webinars, if you have joined us, we have kind of given an overview of a lot of different sensors and data loggers that we have. But today the focus is on our real-time solutions. So we have two different real-time solutions. We have our RX 2100 series that we have and our RX 3000 series. I'll talk about the similarities as well as the differences that we have. So the similarities is both of these units are real-time data loggers. They both come with a multi-carrier SIM card installed, which means that you don't have to worry about what the cellular carrier is for the location where you're going to be deploying these. These are going to be able to connect up to the nearest and closest cell tower that you have, which is a benefit that not a lot of companies utilize, and we do at Hobo Data Logger. So yeah, you don't have to really worry about if you're in one area or another. You're going to be able to get that really good connection. We have solar powered and battery powered options for these data loggers. A lot of people, probably 85–90% of the people, utilize the solar panel, the solar powered option that we have. And both units come with rechargeable batteries, and those battery packs are going to be able to last you 3 to 5 years. And you don't really have to worry too much about checking those batteries. We have in our real-time solution, we have alerts that we can send you when the batteries are going down, if they're not charging or whatever they have. And then they are user replaceable. You don't have to send the whole data logger back into the facility to be able to be recalibrated and have those batteries replaced. You can do that yourselves. It's very inexpensive to do that, and then you don't have any large data gaps or weeks that you don't have your data loggers. These data loggers are hardy, they're robust, they are weatherproof, they are made to be installed and deployed out in all types of environments. So you don't really have to worry about them. They are hardy. And they will be able to withstand whatever you're putting them up against. We're not going to submerge them, but we've seen some even survive some fires that we've had over here in California over the last couple of years. And both of these options do come with affordable annual cell plans. So if you have been in the monitoring space for a while and have looked into real-time data loggers, you know that they come with a cell plan, right? A data package, and ours go as low as $99 a year, which is fantastic. Starting out, we do have some more expensive options there as well, but if you're looking to just get some simple data with a couple of simple points, it can be as low as that. Both of them are very user-friendly. It's a plug-and-play system. You're going to be plugging in sensors into the ports that we have here. You're going to be pushing a button, creating a login, and you're good to go. And I think our approach is a little bit different than some of the other data logging companies out there. We have the approach that we send you the data loggers, we send you all of the tools, the instructions on how to install, and you are able to go out and deploy those out in the field. Some of the other companies, they have an approach where they want to go out and do the install for you. Ours are not really needed because it is so user-friendly. It's ridiculous actually how user-friendly it is. I've had customers really compliment us on these systems and how easy it is to set up. So some of the differences that you'll find is that the RX 2100 series is a little bit more compact. It's smaller. It's got a built-in solar panel. Underneath it, you have 5 plug-and-play climate and soil sensors, what we like to call smart sensors that can easily just plug in and you're up and going and you're collecting data. We also do have the availability in the RX 2100 series to add a water level module or add the wireless HoboNet manager that we have to be able to create that wireless mesh network that we're going to talk about coming up here soon. So that's for our compact version for our RX 2100. We also have our RX 3000, And that houses up to 10 of those plug and play smart sensors for the different parameters that you want to monitor, as well as it has 2 module slots for either water level, hooking up a wireless HoboNet manager, adding analog inputs for third-party sensors, or adding a relay module that can connect up to a pump or anything like that to try and turn on and turn off depending on some thresholds that we have. So those are our 2 solutions that we have for the monitoring solutions, the real time. So you want to think about kind of what type of setup do you want, right, in your application. Are you up for a single standalone data logger, or are you going to want to utilize our HoboNet wireless station where everything is wireless? You want to be able to figure out what type of sensors you're wanting to utilize. And once you figure out what sensors you want to utilize, then you're able to pick out the station that you want as well. There's a lot that goes into how to pick a sensor. And here's a couple of items to consider as you're trying to pick out what you're doing. You want to think about how far the different monitoring points are from the stations. Right, if you're wanting to go do flow monitoring and you want to also do well depth, right, how far is one point from another? Can you both do them wired using the same units, right? So start to think about the distances between all the different monitoring points. The second thing you want to consider is what type of cable length options are available for the sensor. A lot of our wired sensors will come with a 2 or 6 meter cable, but not all of them have the two lengths. So you want to kind of look into what sensor lengths or what cable lengths you have for the sensors you want to utilize. Before you're picking out the sensor or the data logger, you want to kind of think about, do you possibly want to upgrade in the future? What you need to monitor now, is that what you're going to need to monitor forever? Or are there some future possibilities where you would want to kind of expand on what you're doing? So that's definitely something to think about, is do you plan on doing this, or do you plan on upgrading or adding into the future? Also, another thing to think about is this going to be a fixed site, or are you going to be able to move this station from site to site? Is it a permanent monitoring location? Is it going to be moved around? And also to think about, an item to consider here is kind of what options are available to utilize, right? It's what sensors are available, what data loggers are available, because not every sensor is good for each application. So we want to be able to pick out the best sensors for you, what you actually want to monitor. And now that leads me into kind of our wired sensor options. So we have wired sensors, and we also have wireless sensors. And I kind of split up these wired sensor options, or we like to call our smart sensor options, into a couple of different categories. Right now, what you're seeing right here is some of your operational data points that you might want to see, you might want to consider. I think when we're thinking about monitoring, these are not necessarily 100% high on everything that you're thinking about monitoring, but we do have a lot of customers that utilize these. AC current, AC voltage, kilowatt hours, run time. All of these are parameters that you can hook up into our wired sensor, our smart sensor options, and be able to monitor your machinery, your pumps, your VFDs, all those things that are helping you in your growing operations. You can monitor their performance. How are they performing? How much energy are you using? Because in the end, these operational tools or these operational machines are kind of critical to your end goal on how your operations are going to perform. And energy consumption is a very hot topic these days. So with installing these, or maybe adding these to some of your monitoring options, you can really take control of your energy consumption, see how much energy you're using. I have a previous customer in the past who has utilized some of these sensors, and they were actually able to go to the power company and get their bill adjusted by several $100s because they went back to the power company and said, hey, here's my report on when I am using this machinery. I'm not using it the amount of time that you say I'm doing. And they were actually able to get a refund on their power bill, which was significant, right? So think about these as operational data points that are optional to be able to add into something that you're monitoring. The other set of data points that I wanted to touch on were kind of more of the data points that you think about during the day-to-day. These are our wired sensor options for climate and soil. So these are our smart sensors. These are the easy plug and play. They have like the old phone jack connection, and you really just plug these in. There's no calibration needed. These are parameters you plug into the system, turn on the system, and you're already recording data. So we've got these options: the temperature and relative humidity. If you're wanting to do frost alerts or any type of IPM program, you can utilize this with whatever you're looking for. A temperature sensor, if you're trying to use it for operations on, when your employees need to take breaks, if it's over 100 degrees or over 95. Wind speed and direction just gives you an overall knowledge of, hey, can I spray today? What's the wind direction looking like? The rain gauge as well, very important to be able to know how much rain you're actually getting on site rather than just looking up and trying to see how much rain the county got in a given day or in a given period. Solar radiation and PAR sensors we have available in our wired sensors, leaf wetness, and we have 2 options for soil moisture. So this whole climate setup right here will be able to give you evapotranspiration calculated rates. It's able to give you all those parameters that you're used to, and you can always add on the leaf wetness to be able to see how much water the leaves have. And we only have 2 soil moisture options. So that's one thing to notice here is on our wired sensors, you can add these. They have the cables and you can add these in, but we have even more available on our HoboNet side, which is our wireless side as well. So these are kind of the sensors that you're used to for climate and soil. And these are, again, our plug and play sensors or our smart sensors. The third category I wanted to separate the wired sensor options into are kind of our water outputs, right? This would be an RX 2100 station or RX 3000. You would be able to add a cable and a transducer to be able to get water level. You're also able to utilize our well cap and our water use or pulse counter that you can hook up into a flow meter. If you're here in California, this is your Sigma and SB88 compliance system right here in a nutshell. RX 2104, transducer, cable, well cap, and then connecting up to your flow meter as well. If you're outside of California, these are just compliance regulations that we have to use for being able to monitor the body of water that you're pulling water out of, whether it's a groundwater or a reservoir or some type of a canal, as well as hooking up to a flow meter to see how much water you're using and to be able to report that over to the state. So those are our wired sensors that we've gone over. Now I want to get into our HoboNet and our wireless system, because this is where scalability is at its greatest, to be able to scale up the amount of monitoring points that you have. So this HoboNet system is our mesh network of wireless sensors. And this gives you reliability, range, scale, and simplicity. This gives you the availability to be able to create a reliable, self-forming, self-healing network of wireless sensors, because they talk to each other via 900 megahertz a wireless radio signal. And you can get about, from sensor to sensor, from base station to sensor, you can get up to 2,000 feet range line of sight. And they can hop from one to another up to 5 times. So you can get a pretty good distance of range, right? You're able to scale up a lot. One of those RX stations that we went over at the beginning, our wireless or our cellular stations can hook up to 50 wireless sensors per system. So that's an incredible amount of data that you can take in using this wireless sensors. And it's very simple. You can deploy these really easy. You're really just pushing a button on this, connecting it up to the station, and you're off and ready to go. Here are some features of those HoboNet moats, we like to call them. They are moats, and these are affordable real-time monitoring solutions using that radio technology. And the good thing is for each one of these HoboNet wireless moats, you're not having to pay an annual cell fee for each one. You're only paying a cell fee for the base station, but all of these extra data points, all of these extra moats are basically free. You're only paying for that one subscription. The enclosures are just as hardy as the other ones that we have. They are made to be able to withstand the climate outside. They do hold memory on the station itself. So if you have these in an area that for some reason, one of these sensors gets offline from the base station, it will store memory on board, and then the next time it's able to connect to the base station, it will transfer all that data. So you don't have to worry about it going out and not being able to collect the data. It also comes with our rechargeable AA batteries. They're going to last you 3 to 5 years on each moat. And you're able to incorporate all of these different wireless sensors into your network. So here are the wireless HoboNet sensor options that we have. So you have all of the typical sensors that you're looking to monitor that we talked about with the wired. You're able to connect up to temperature, relative humidity, solar radiation and PAR, wind speed and direction, rain gauge, connect up to the pulse and the flow meters. And notice here we've got 3 different soil moisture options for this wireless technology. We've got the EC5 and 10s, which are nice to be able to plug into nice soils where you're just doing one monitoring point. If you want to go a little bit hardy and possibly have to move these in the future, you can go with the Teros options. And we do have a soil moisture probe with multi-depth capabilities as well. So with the wireless options, we have a lot more room to be able to help you out with the different soil moisture needs that you have. We also have the water level moat, and we have the analog moat coming out soon, which we have plenty of people using right now. So you can see all of these different options we have, and these are all wireless. They are all able to be set up and installed wherever you want. You don't have to be picky and having each point installed at one setting, right, in one area. In our analog mode that we have, we are using it a lot for hooking up into third-party sensors. So if there are sensors out there that you like to use, like we have a couple of sensors that we use for water quality parameters, we're able to connect these up to the moat. It has a 420 milliamp output on there. We're able to hook those up. And we also hook these up and use these for sonic water levels and groundwater well monitoring as well. So one of the things that really describes the HoboNet wireless setup really well is flexibility, right? You're able to be flexible about your climate options, and not all your parameters need to be at the same site. We do have, as you can see on the picture on the left-hand side, we do have a wonderful tripod that people should utilize when you're setting up a weather station. But the thing is that you can add more to a weather station, right? We all have a place where we'd like to stick a weather station for wind speed and all that good stuff. But what if you wanted to add another temperature relative humidity sensor into your plant canopy? I know in the wine grape industry, people are really wanting to know exactly inside the canopy where the grape clusters are. What's the temperature? What's the humidity like actually in the canopy? So this HoboNet gives you the flexibility to be able to add sensors away from where that base station is. Maybe you have a different location where on another part of your property, you have a lower elevation, and you know during the cold days that frost and the water, or not the water, the temperature is going to cool more in that lower elevation. So you want to be able to add another sensor out there. Maybe you want to set up a whole weather station, but down the line you want to be able to hook up into a flow meter, so you can add one of those pulse motes out there to be able to get real-time flow on your flow meter. And maybe you want to set up your weather station, but you also want to be able to get soil moisture and do soil moisture monitor to be able to match up that evapotranspiration calculation that you're getting off of the weather station, to be able to match that up with your irrigation, right? Make sure that you're adding enough water to your crop that is coming off your crop as well. Here again, flexibility as well on soil moisture monitoring. There's very few cases that I've come across where somebody just wants to do one soil moisture location. If you've got a small vineyard and you've got 10 acres and you only want one soil moisture sensor, well, that's great. But you want to allow yourself the flexibility, and that's what HoboNet does, is it allows you the flexibility to be able to install multiple monitoring spots, right? Because maybe you're growing different crops on one site. Maybe you have different types of soils. There's elevation changes, or you have some different irrigation practices. So you want to be able to put soil moisture on all of these different sites. HoboNet gives you the flexibility to be able to do that. I wanted to explain a little bit about what and visualize this HoboNet system. So you have our RX 3000 and RX 2100 here, and you can have all those wired options. But when you want to use the wireless option, you have that module here that you can see on the screen, as well as these extra motes that will connect up to it. And that is what we call the HoboNet Manager. That's what is receiving the radio frequency from all of the other devices that are out there doing the monitoring. It's bringing all that information back to the cellular base station and then sending it up to the cloud for you. So this is kind of what it would look like. So you have that other kind of wired mote that comes off of it that's going to be receiving the signal from all of those wireless sensors. I wanted to just give a couple of HoboNet connection tips. In those motes, right at the top is an antenna that is in there. And the antenna is really important. That's what's going to be transmitting all of the signal. So you want to do the best to be able to get that mote at least 6 feet up in the air. You can see on the diagram on the bottom left-hand side that is basically a picture that talks about the different zones of transmission, right? The line of sight reflection is best when it's up 6 feet. The ground can actually interfere with that radio signal, so we want to be able to get them up 6 feet as possible. A lot of people will mount these with a T-post and then some PVC up at the top. These motes are lightweight, so you don't really need to have a ton of infrastructure to be able to hold these up. So get them up off the ground, and then before you go out and deploy these, kind of come up with an installation plan. Practice on one in your office or at your home base. Set one of these up first, and then go out in the field and install these. And you want to protect your wires from any critters that are out there. We've had a lot of people over the years that for some reason, rodents like to bite wires, so you want to hide all of your wires. And we highly recommend, and we will help walk you through this, getting all of these loggers set up at your home base or in your office. Turn on your base station, hook them up, connect all of these radio motes to each other before you go out in the field and deploy these. Once you go out and you do deploy these, deploy them high enough, deploy them so that you would be proud of it. Wires are covered. It looks good out in the field, right? And then once you come back to your office afterwards, I encourage everybody to get onto our map view and create a view being able to look at how each one of your sensors are talking to another. If you look at this picture here, we've got one base station that is talking to, shoot, it looks like maybe 30 or 40 different locations. And you can see on that map view how the motes are talking back and where is the path that they are taking to be able to get this information back to the base station. Here is where you're going to be able to see if any sensors are struggling. If any one does struggle and is trying to cover a long distance, you can add another repeater in there. But I encourage everybody to take a look at the map view to be able to see how everything is connecting. Here is just a picture of the HoboNet in action. This is a really good picture of, right, 6 feet off the ground. It is up in the air. You can see in the pipe there, they've got the cable for the pressure transducer going through the pipe. It's a neat and clean installation, and they're utilizing the mounting brackets. The mounting brackets are great to be able to utilize. Yes, you can get these motes and you can zip tie them to a post or to some PVC, but if you really want to have a clean installation, utilize those mounting brackets that come with it as well. So we get questions a lot, and I just wanted to cover this real quick with you on what can we do to protect our stations, right? They're out sometimes in public areas, and you know, people kind of worry about the system sometimes. One thing that I can say is utilize the lock, right, on the side of those. Lock it up so that people can't get inside. Put some type of a placard on it to kind of identify what it is, you know, like this one on the right hand side, no trespassing, water level, and then it talks about the state and the water agency that it's for, telling people what it is. We've had customers that unfortunately had some of their data loggers used as target practices, and one thing that they did was they put American flag stickers on it, and then for some reason they stopped shooting them. So there's a lot of different things you can do to kind of protect these data loggers out in the field. I'm pretty sure some of you have even some better ideas than that. I wanted to get into just real quick for our general real-time cellular monitoring station deployment tips. There's a lot of things that people can do right, and there's a lot of things that people can do wrong as well. So one thing that I like to tell people to start off is think about your operations. Think about where people work around where you are installing these, right? If you're doing maintenance on a pump or around a system, think about that before you are deploying and picking out a location for your data loggers. I've seen data loggers placed in some horrible areas. I even saw a customer that had to move the T-post every time to open his gate to get in. And it was just like, well, why don't you just move that to a different area? A couple of other things to think of are, you know, the solar panel, point it in the right direction. You know, you want to point that to where it's getting the most sunlight it can. Usually here in the Northern Hemisphere, we're pointing them south, right? And you want to use T-posts. You know, they're great to be able to put these data loggers in. They're not too heavy. They can use the support through the T-post. You can use your existing infrastructure. So if you do have a control panel, or you already do have some type of infrastructure where you can mount these, you can utilize those as well. But I do recommend avoiding putting these directly under heavy power lines. If you can, put them off to the side. For some reason, it can disturb some of the signal there. And like I said at the beginning, just kind of think about your operations. Think about the location where you want your data logger deployed, and where will it be out of the way but get good signal and still cover the needs that it needs to. For those of you who would want to utilize this for well and flow monitoring, here's a quick checklist. You want to get all of this information before you purchase. We don't want to later on down the line have to get you a different cable length because we didn't do our research before. So here's a quick checklist, especially for the well size. Investigate on what is your well size, what's the casing size, and what is the pipe size going in there. We want to make sure that we can fit a transducer down there, get all that information beforehand. Also, research and look at what type of access do you have to this well to be able to get a transducer down. Is there a port on the top? Do you have a port going down the side? Are there sounding tubes in there? All of this information is really relative to a system before you go out and deploy those. It's really important to get that information beforehand. Research also the model of the flow meter that you're wanting to hook up into. Now, does it have a digital out pulse? What's the pulse rate? Because we're going to want to calibrate, each pulse to what each pulse is, whether it's 1 gallon, 10 gallons, 100 gallons per pulse. We're going to want to use that to calibrate the back end so you can see your real-time flow. So that's a really important checklist for you for the flow and the well. And at the end, we think about, why is this all important? Well, this is important because we want to ensure that all of you have reliable, accurate data, whether it's climate or soil or water. And here at Hopewell Data Loggers, we really do. We want you to have that reliable data. So first, you need to pick out the right logger, right? Which logger is best for you? The RX 2100, RX 3000. Do we add the wireless? Do I want to use wired or wireless sensors? So first is pick the right logger. Second is pick the right sensor. And third is to be able to deploy them correctly. None of these sensors are going to do a fantastic job if the deployment is not done correctly. And hopefully some of these slides and this kind of helped you to go over how to correctly deploy these data loggers and these sensors. So I hope this was beneficial for everybody that was here today. If you have any questions and you'd like to reach out to me directly, you can do so. Email is there, brett.stebbins@licor.com. My cell phone as well on there, 916-907-2252. I'd love to be able to talk with you about the deployments, about questions you have, what sensors to use, wired or not. So we really appreciate you joining us today for the webinar. We do have some time for some questions. So let me see if we have any questions here. I don't have any questions. So if you do have any questions, you can go ahead and type those in right now. I'd love to be able to get to those for you. I think maybe everything was great and self-explanatory. So we really appreciate everybody joining us. And yeah, any other questions come up, please let me know. Okay, I do have one question coming up here. It says, what are your transmission distance obstacles? So yeah, great question. So when we have the obstacles would be trees, buildings, elevation changes. All of those are obstacles that will get in the way of transmission for our wireless sensors, because they're all going off of radio. And especially we mentioned the ground, right? If you don't get those devices up high enough, you can have some difficulty. If you're doing close range, say you're within a couple hundred feet, you don't really have to worry too much. That signal is going to go out pretty strong. It's when you're starting to get on the maximum range and distance is where you're really worried about getting obstacles in there. I do want to mention we have these sensors placed in heavily forested areas, and we are able to get transmission going through these wireless systems. If you're talking about our transmission with the cell is it's a little bit more difficult. Power lines can distort some of the signal. It usually doesn't take it away too much, but usually on sites where you possibly might be wanting to see, do you have enough signal? out there is to, I would say, go out to the site. If you can send a text message out through the site, you can usually install these locations. There's very small data packets that go through these transmissions of the data loggers. So if you can text, I know you can get one of these out there. And then if you're in an area where you don't have a very good cell signal, you can always utilize the HoboNet, right? You can put the station where you do have signal, and then you can relay those wireless sensors to be able to get down to the data points you need. We've got customers that use this a lot in the mountain regions, where they will install the data logger up on the top of the ridge, and then they will have the wireless data point down in the valley. So those are ways that you can get around that. I don't see any other questions. So what I'd like to do is we'd like to go ahead and probably end it here, since we don't see any other questions. But thank you so much for joining on with us. It was a pleasure and an honor to be able to be with all of you. Please reach out if you have any other questions. Email me, give me a call. We'd love to be able to help you. Thank you so much.